What is going on, Legionnaires? Welcome to the channel. I'm Mark. Hope everyone's having a happy new comic book day. So today, to celebrate, we're going to look at 5 affordable key comics, this time from the modern Marvel comic era. Don't go anywhere. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get it going. Huge shout out to Big Time Collectibles. Check them out at their website. Follow them on social media, or you can find them on Whatnot 5 days a week. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit up my homie Justin over on Instagram. He can take care of you for as little as $10 a book. Let him know you found him via the channel. Also, don't miss out on an opportunity to find an awesome local comic shop Facebook group right down in the link below. All the sponsors and all these fine people are linked in the description, so be sure to check it out. ABX Comics and Games is my local comic shop. Fantastic place if you're getting into the hobby of comics or tabletop gaming. That's where I get all my books. That without them wouldn't be here today. So let's get it going. I've started this video series looking at little groups of key comic books. I've done modern DC books. I've done licensed keys, which was really fun. If you missed that video, go back a week or so and check it out. There's some really cool licensed properties that are just sitting out there waiting to get scooped up. But today for this video, we're going to look at 5 modern Marvel comic keys, specials, first appearances, whatever the case, but 5 that you might want to consider picking up because it might be a good time to do it, considering where the prices have been, looking at where they are now, and just some of them are just fun to have in the PC if you haven't already got it. And just kicking it off, starting with one that was just the talk of the town for the longest time. It's kind of cooled off quite a bit. That's none other than X-Men number 4 from 1992. This was the iconic Jim Lee run. This issue specifically featured the first appearance of Omega Red. A lot of people know, but not enough people know, he did have a small cameo in Deadpool 2, but there's been a lot of rumor, talk, and speculation about him getting added to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, probably more probable now than it was then, knowing that they're slow rolling the X-Men into the modern MCU stuff, if they make it that far. But this iconic book right here has a raw copy average of $17 with the CGC 9.8 fair market at only $122. And I say only because an all-time record high, it sold for $500. $500 down to $122. Now, all the prices that I've gathered for this video are sourced specifically from Cover Price. There's a lot of great comic book resources out there. Go collect Cover Price Overstreet for this series. In this video specifically, I'm using Cover Price, getting more familiar with that, kind of getting some experience with that app as well as the website, having a lot of fun with it. So let's move on to the second one. This is one that's, man, it just has a special place in my heart from my childhood. Whenever I see this character, I always think of my homie Brent. It's like it's his go-to with Spider-Man stuff, and that's none other than the Web of Spider-Man issue number 118 from 1994. This was the first appearance of Ben Reilly as the Scarlet Spider. Love the suit design. Love that it had the hood, the way that the logo was like diagonal across his chest. It's such a great cover. Love the little bands around his wrist. Just the iconic look of this suit for me, it just really calls to my childhood. And knowing that you can get a raw copy of this bad boy for roughly $66 is a great deal in my opinion. Spider-Man, no matter what, seems to not go out of style. His keys and his books are highly sought after all the time. So if you haven't really dove into getting Spider-Man keys, it might not be a bad idea to start with some of the more recent ones that are more accessible and more affordable. A CGC 9.8 copy of this book right now, fair market's at only $164, down from a record high of $1,250 in a 9.8. That's absolutely bananas. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, from $1,250 down to $164. That's a massive difference. Like, definitely worth considering, right? I know a lot of these prices hit like an all-time spike because of the lockdown and all that, and who knows if they'll ever go to that price again anytime soon. I don't think it will. There's a lot of market like correction happening, but it still begs the question, like, if something were to happen and you have some of these books, that's just like, that's crazy how much value is like left in the tank on these things. Moving on to the next one, another one that has a lot of potential based off a lot of recent events with physical media or film media. That's going to be Inhumans, issue number 5 from 1999. This is the first appearance of Yelena Belova as the Black Widow. If you've watched the Black Widow film, you would know that the Black Widow's sister is now the current Black Widow in the MCU. She's She's going to be in the Thunderbolts coming up, I believe. She had that brief stint in the Hawkeye show, but she's the current Black Widow, and this is the book that has her first showing up as Black Widow. Dope cover, really cool cover there. But this one you can pick up for a raw copy is going to cost you roughly around $50. So she has a little bit more juice on her than the previous ones, but a CGC 9.8 is still only $177, coming in well under $200. And this one has a record high price in a 9.8 of $899. So from $900 down to $177. That's all after the fact of getting her appearance on screen and all that. So I don't really necessarily see this one rising back up much, especially not with like kind of the declining nature of a lot of the Marvel properties and everything, but only time will really tell. So next one up, this is one that most people probably already have, but it's definitely worth pointing out. It's such a great book. It's such an iconic cover, and that's none other than Venom #1 from 1993. Venom, of course, making his first appearance in ASM 299. This right here signifies the first solo series for Venom. Beautiful red foil cover, all that goodness. I mean, Venom just was a hot commodity, super hot during that Donny Cates run, so much so that we got 2 movies out of it that, in my opinion, were just absolute trash, but to each their own. We still have the third one coming, so this book might have a little bit of a pop left in it, which I seriously doubt, especially so far into the film franchise. But a raw copy goes for roughly $20, and then a CGC 9.8 is down to only $150 from a record high seller. Are you ready for this? A 9.9 sold for $3,600. A $3,600 copy of this book happened. That's absolutely crazy. Granted, it was a 9.9, still $3,600 for that book. That's insane to think about. Just imagine if you were the one that sold that book. You probably like printed yourself out like a certificate or went and bought a trophy just that day or something. Like you had to have, right? And the last one on this one's really cooled off, but it's still a fantastic series. It was a great run, and it was a cool character. That's going to be none other than Black Panther issue #2 from 2005. This was such a great era for Black Panther when they were really diving into the T'Challa Storm stuff and all that. But it's the first appearance of his sister Shuri, who we saw become the Black Panther in Wakanda Forgettable, who's also probably going to show up again in like the Ironheart TV show or somewhere down the line. It's definitely been a reoccurring character in the MCU that hopefully we get to continue to see. And the raw copy for this goes for about $44 with a CGC 9.8 down to $134. And this one has a record high sale of $1,300, which obviously was before the film, and but still commands a decent price. $134. These are supposed to be affordable, and that's what they are, but it's still really cool to look at where they were versus where they are now. And that's really something that's really interesting about using some of this comic book resources we have, like cover price and stuff, because you kind of get an idea of really how flexible the market can be. It makes you really stop and think twice, maybe think 3 times about pulling the trigger on stuff when you get a better idea and understanding of how flexible these prices can get. So definitely stuff to consider, some really cool keys there. I'd be interested to know what some of the modern Marvel comic keys you think of when you hear that. Obviously UF4 and stuff like that are bigger keys. I was trying to keep it under 200 for that 9.8, and definitely in an affordable grade, especially if you're out there hunting. You always find books for a little bit over FMB, and you can definitely still find them for under that fair market value if you are patient and you have a good enough, wide enough list of interests. It's really easy to hunt some of this stuff down for great prices. So be sure to leave me a comment. If you want to support the channel, definitely consider hitting that join button down below, becoming a channel member, and check out the merch store. There's some fun stuff on there. Buy someone something for Christmas. It's that time of the year. The gift that keeps on giving is support for the YouTube community. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.